Open Meeting. I can't quite believe it's almost Halloween in 2 weeks' time. It's slightly odd. It's bright sunshine and really quite warm outside, but long may that last. The heating's still burning away there in these university buildings. Despite that, and of course, the cost of heating is something that concerns all of us back home, particularly my wife, who keeps turning it down, and I keep turning it back up again. But anyway, hopefully, therefore, you've seen the announcement that went out yesterday in terms of the cost of living payments that we will all be receiving from the universities. So the details are on StaffNet if you haven't seen that for some reason, but the headline of that is for colleagues roles up to and including grade 8. There's a one-off payment of £500 in November and another one in January. And there's various detail around that and some FAQs and so on, which I won't try and précis here, but clearly that's very welcome news. And then in the student space as well, we are, so Kellyanne Mallon, who's on this call and you'll hear from shortly, has been chairing a university-wide group that's got representation for the faculties, the directorates, all of the students' union officers as well. You'll have seen some of the initial proposals from that group. And Kellyanne and I have just had a call about just some planning on a further very significant announcement that we hope to make in the next couple of weeks around that. And that is more likely to be something similar to the sort of thing we have done for staff. But the details of that will follow in due course. So I'm not going to say any more on that at the moment. But both of those things really positive. And don't forget, with Christmas coming up, just to clear up to say, because this question comes up every year, we will also still be getting the £20 contribution that each of us gets for some form of Christmas bash, whatever that looks like. There are different things happening in different teams. If you want advice on the best way to spend that, you know, the easiest way to spend that, because there are quite a few places we can prepay that for you, contact someone in the directorate office. Makes life an awful lot easier than trying to divide the bill up by the number of people at the end and arguing over who had alcohol and who didn't. So that would be my advice, at least. I'm going to move on into the presentational part of today because we've got quite a bit to get through. We've got a really nice range of colleagues from across different parts of the DSE who are going to present to us. And the focus this month is particularly on the atrium space on the first floor of University Place. If you've never been into it, it's a really, really wonderful space. You'll probably get a sense of that from the presentation, but it's available for anyone to go and have a wander around. Do so if you haven't done so already. But to introduce it and a veritable cast of well, almost 10 people, I think, contributing to this. Kellyanne Mallon and Spencer Davies, I think, are going to lead us off, and we'll take it from there. But Kellyanne and Spencer, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Simon, and hello everybody, nice to meet you all. While Anna, my lovely colleague Anna, is sharing the screen there, so you can see the slides, I just wanted to do a little bit of scene setting alongside Spencer. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Kellyanne. I am the relatively new in post as Head of Access, Student Employability, Success and Development here at the university, and I joined in April of this year. One of my first tasks, really, new in post, was to work with my wonderful team and others across the DSE to look at how we can reimagine that atrium space. Obviously, conscious that during the pandemic, we in the career service team and across sort of student success and development, we pivoted to delivering everything online. And what we wanted to do at the start of this new academic year was to really bring a little bit of life back into that atrium space, working with others across the DSE as one team and making sure that all of those different areas of the DSE who support our students in terms of their support, their development, their career progression, are working together to bring it to life and to give our students a fantastic student experience. So I'll hand over to Spencer if there's anything that you want to add in at this point, Spencer, along those lines.
Thanks, Kellyanne. Yeah, no, nothing much to add to that, just to say hello to everybody. Head of Advice and Response, so various student support and wellbeing areas under myself. Kellyanne and I were conscious that we could wibble at you for half an hour, but actually the people who are doing the work on the ground are the best people to hear from. I can see Elsa and others in the pod squad. So yeah, just wanted to just highlight, I think this has been a really good example of single team working across the DSE, and in the 2.5 years now that I've been here, increasingly I've seen this happening where people are not working in silos, they're joining up for projects and operations, and it's a really pleasant thing to be part of, and I think it gives our students a really good output. So thank you to all our teams and other teams across the DSE who've put this together, and I'll hand over to Anna.
Thanks, Spencer. I'm sharing the presentation, so I can't see myself, so hopefully this is all working for you as well. Yeah, so really just to recap on what Kellyanne said, we've kind of been looking to reinvigorate the space over the summer, and that has involved a number of key partners. So I just thought I'd recap on where we've got to. So looking back pre-pandemic, the atrium was used daily by the careers service, by student support and study abroad for a whole variety of different activities, and that was the kind of place to go to access those services. Obviously during the pandemic, some of those teams continued to deliver from that space throughout. So Spencer's team and student wellbeing had a continued presence on campus and were based in the atrium. Slowly other teams started to repopulate. So the Study Abroad Global Guidance Ambassadors returned in 2021 with more of a hybrid presence. And alongside that, if you don't know the atrium, there's kind of, it's two halves. We've got the one half which has the pods for guidance and our kind of inquiry desks, and over the other side is a more open plan event stroke sort of seating area, which during the pandemic was then handed back to the library as a bookable study space, as kind of we were social distancing and space was very much at a premium. So really from kind of earlier this year, we've been planning to return to that space more broadly across all the teams. So the career service and the volunteering team, alongside the student wellbeing team and global guidance ambassadors, have been looking at how we use that space collaboratively and making sure that we all have what we need to deliver the services that we need for our students. So looking forward, we're seeing it very much as an opportunity to review, revise and refresh what we do in that space, to make sure that, as I say, the 4 teams mentioned there have what they need at their disposal, and we kind of share the resources and make kind of synergies across the space to support each other in our delivery. We're lucky that the library have given back the large open seating area, but we've had discussions with them about how we can work more closely so we can deliver activities and outreach through the library and their event space, but at key times they can come and use the atrium for what they need, both for study provision during revision time and exam time, but also to promote some of their My Learning Essentials and other things that they do. So we're really excited about the opportunity to work together more closely to make it seamless for students and to kind of present all the brilliant services that we do more collectively to them. Alongside that, we've got the opportunity to tie in with the cost of living project that Simon referenced earlier and the cosy campus idea that you might have read about on StaffNet. So we're looking at discussing things such as having breakfast events through the atrium throughout the week, which bring in different teams to host those. They're in early stages of discussion, but again, really excited about the opportunities to bring more students to the space. And again, to echo what Spencer said earlier, I think this is a really good example of single team working. It's been a summer of conversation, consideration, compromise and collaboration to make sure that we're all happy with what we've agreed, and we seem to be kind of all looking forward to the next steps and how we kind of use that together. So I'd like to now pass over to a number of different colleagues who deliver in that space. Are going to talk more directly to what they're doing. I'm going to start with careers, then we're going to pass over to the student wellbeing team, then back over to volunteering, and then finishing with colleagues from the study abroad area of activity. So without further ado, I'll pass over to Adam, who's in within careers.
Hi everyone, yeah, so my name's Adam and I manage the careers aspect of the atrium space. So just to give you a bit of an overview, like Anna said, the career service has kind of got previous with the atrium in that we've been there before. and it's a fantastic space. And I could say that definitely because I joined the service in May from another university, and I immediately walked in and thought, okay, wow, we can do some stuff with this. There are some, I guess, challenges from that perspective, though, in the sense of when we're planning our face-to-face delivery, we had to think about how it wasn't necessarily set up for what you might call walk-ins. It's not the most visible of space. So we tried to think about how we can make it more of a sort of destination space, giving students a reason to want to visit us, which might lead to word of mouth and a little bit more awareness about the actual location itself. This started with the activity that we ran during Welcome. So there were a number of different things that we did. For example, we had a commuter student scavenger hunt where we saw about 100 students. There was a series of Welcome focused careers events that I ran, kind of jumping off from your future essentials. And then we also had a PGT networking event on the Friday of Welcome, which was really, really successful. And all in all, we saw about 600 students in that 1 week, which was really, really positive. From my perspective, that meant that we led on really well into what I'm running, which is the My Future Essentials sessions from the atrium. These are in-person sessions, they're workshops and aimed at what I call the more practical elements of careers, so CVs, interviews, the kind of things that we get a lot of volume of requests about. So we get as many people in as possible, and they're proving to be really well attended so far. Alongside this, we've actually opened our inquiry desk back up on Monday to Friday for drop-in queries, where students can just rock up with any kind of careers related question and we'll deal with it then and there, or triage to wherever is appropriate if we can't. This supports my sessions as well, as that we quite often get students coming to the desk after my sessions. There's a little bit of a flurry of activity, so it's quite joined up there as well. From the 20th of this month, we're also going to be introducing a weekly recruiter in residence activity where we invite leading recruiters to be available in the atrium for students to meet with. So, for example, we've got Unilever, BNY Mellon, Vodafone, and then no doubt more as we go through the term. And then in addition to this, we're also using the atrium for our Meet the Graduates networking events, which is proving really popular as well. Just to kind of wrap up, we're planning a range of additional events and activities using our new cohort of graduate interns to listen to the actual student voice about how we can use the space more effectively, how we can maybe market it, and about what they feel would work well, what they think would be well received. And we're also supporting the cost of living project by offering the atrium as a designated cozy campus space, as Anna kind of alluded to. And that's pretty much it from me. So I'll stop talking and hand over to Elisa and Paula.
Hi, could we get the next slide on? Thank you. So I'm Paula, and I'm one of the social prescribers. I'm going to talk a little bit about our kind of collaboration with the wellbeing team, and then I'll pass on to Ailsa, who's from the wellbeing team. A little bit of context as to like who we are, what the social prescribing team do. We're actually formally based within the counselling and mental health service, and we work really closely and link in really well with the wellbeing team. So we've kind of collaborated on where we utilise space within Crawford House, but also within the atrium. So our team, we're here to support students in accessing lots of activities, support services, things going on at the university. So we see students who are maybe kind of feeling particularly isolated, maybe students who are feeling levels of anxiety or symptoms of depression, and we're there to support them in maybe getting into campus, getting involved with things. So we've kind of worked alongside the wellbeing team for a while, but the atrium has been a space for us that we found really helpful to use, as it's so central. We've got the career service here. I think showing it as a space that like students can come along and study in the open space as well. I think when we've got DAS so closely upstairs too, it's really helped us in connecting students to get using the services that they've got access to. So we have one-to-one student appointments that we use the pods for, as you can see, one of the ones that I'm sitting in now, and then we also use the wellbeing pod. So we've got a picture on the screen there, and that's been decorated and used to try and promote wellbeing to students. It's a space that they can use quite ad hoc, but on a Wednesday afternoon we use that space to run a drop-in as well. So whilst we formally take students for one-to-one appointments through the counselling service route, we also offer a more informal chat, so students can come along. It's quite easily accessible because it's the first thing that they see when they walk in. Every Wednesday, 1 o'clock till 3 o'clock, there'll be a member from my team sat there happy to have a conversation about maybe societies that students can get involved with. Maybe it's looking at volunteering opportunities, it might be thinking about getting into sports or the careers service, so we're there to be easily accessible as well. So we found it that's quite a new project that we've got going, but it's been running really well so far. So that's what we can use that wellbeing pod for, as well as our one-to-one appointments. And my colleague Ailsa, who's from the wellbeing team as well, she'll talk a little bit about her appointments as well that she holds now.
Thanks, Paula. Yeah, hi everyone. So my name is Ailsa. As Paula said, I work within the student wellbeing team. So as with the social prescribers, we use these pods. I feel it's good to run the pods so we can demonstrate what they look like. We use those for wellbeing appointments. With students that email us to request a wellbeing appointment, but we also use them for meetings with our care experience and estranged students, as I am one of the named contacts for that group of students. We've worked to make these pods a little bit cozier than maybe they once were. So we've got nice, I'd show you if I could, but we've got nice quotes up on the wall, nice leaflets, just to make it a bit more of a welcoming and less kind of prescriptive place. As Paula's already said, we've got our wellbeing pod. I can actually see a student in there out of the corner of my eye on the beanbag, which is lovely to see. And we've got things like crochet, colouring in there, just a really kind of chill space where students can just kind of decompress, take a little break from their studies, which we all know is super duper important. We've also been really hard at work kind of decorating the atrium to make it a little bit more wellbeing friendly. So you'll see there's a couple of pictures there. We've got a large mural of our current way to wellbeing, which is Connect, which our intern Neve amazingly created. She's a lot more arty than I could ever be, but it looks amazing because that wall was pretty much blank kind of, and it's been blank for quite a long time. So just to have that splash of colour, make it a little bit more welcoming is a lovely thing. We've also got a pride mural, which is fab as well. And you'll see there's the be the change quote as well. So in between the divide between the kind of pod space and that kind of study space, we've got some wellbeing quotes kind of on a few of the panels, just to add to that warmth, that cozy campus feel. We're also looking to hold kind of wellbeing events in the study space across the way. So you'll have heard Korea say they're kind of putting on events in that space. We will be doing the same. Last week was World Mental Health Day, so we had a bit of a mindful colouring session, drop-in going on in there. So yeah, we'll be looking to kind of run more events like that in that space, just to, as I say, yeah, bring students into the space. But yeah, without further ado, I'll pass over to Lindsay, I think is next. But thank you everyone for that.
Hi everyone, I think I probably know most people, but I'm Lindsay Gilbert, the Student Success and Development Manager. So volunteering is one of the areas I look after, and volunteering has always historically used the atrium space for one-to-ones with students, which at the time was very easy because we were based up on the 3rd floor of Union Place, so we could literally just run down and see students. So what we want to do is return to that in-person drop-in and have specific times. So we've run drop-ins right through lockdown, but they happened over Zoom and Teams, and what we want to do is provide students with the opportunity to speak to us face to face as well as online, so that they can lead by their own personal preferences. Paula talked a little bit about social prescribing. We have a direct link through Fran in the volunteering team, who works very closely with the social prescribing team with counselling to provide a much more bespoke and individual service to students who are being referred to us through those routes. So that volunteering might be something that's prescribed as a possibility for those students who are feeling isolated, struggling to meet people or get involved, for example. So that will be a space as well where those students can meet face to face and have some one-to-one support around finding the right volunteering opportunities for them. And that's really important because sometimes they need a little bit of extra help to find opportunities that won't be too overwhelming, where we know that they're going to be well looked after, etc. We're also looking at using the space for some of our activities, and the photo demonstrates one of our recent Post-PALS activities. We've always done these sort of across different areas of campus, finding teaching rooms. We've used the Whitworth Art Gallery, we've done them outdoors as part of Wellfest. So it'd be really, really nice to have a space that we can use on a regular basis for Post-PALS, which is a particular volunteering activity where students create cards to send to children who have long-term illness and are in hospital, and also a community mapping activity which we do, which is around getting prosthetic limbs to parts of Uganda, and needs students to translate maps, satellite imagery into mapping. So it's a real chance for us to do some of those group activities in a really nice, friendly space where we can have refreshments and that sort of thing. We want to raise the visibility of volunteering, so in the way that Elsa showed around the panelling, making sure that we've got display information about volunteering, because we recognise that some students don't really know that it's out there, and make sure that there is that visibility. But I am still looking as well at the wider areas I look after, so Welcome, peer support, student partners, the Stellify Award. We had the PGT event in Welcome in the atrium almost by accident, in that conferences wanted to charge us a huge amount of money for the spaces we'd used in the past, and Anna stepped up and said, well, why don't we just use the atrium? And it actually worked brilliantly. It was probably the best space we could have hoped for, because it struck that really good balance between a nice university space with comfy seating, really informal, but held a lot of people. We'd aimed to have about 100 there, and we had over 300 sign up, and they all turned up, we reckon, given the speed that the cookies and the cakes disappeared and we had to restock. So we will be looking at how we use that space again for welcome events, because it felt like a really, really positive space to run that sort of event in. And then we're looking at those wider activities that I'm responsible for now. So, for example, how can we wrap Stellify into the space around promo, for example? Can we look at how we run some of our student partner training sessions in there? Is there some sort of space requirements for peer support? So we're really looking as widely as possible, building on what volunteering used to do, but really, really going one step beyond that. I think it's over to study abroad.
Thank you for that. So next up it's us. So hello everyone, I'm Susan and I'm one of the international programs officers. So the atrium is a really important space for us. It's where we provide in-person support for both students going away on international placements and exchange students that are arriving to study here at Manchester. We're excited to be back to do full-time in-person support at the atrium, having worked remotely and hybrid during the pandemic, and we're looking forward to working collaboratively with the other teams to animate the space. Our full team will also be moving from Rutherford to the 3rd floor of the University Place, and will be based fully over there and closer to the atrium, and we hope that this will stimulate more collaboration between our teams as well. I'd like to introduce Nana Pedley, who is one of our country advisors for US and Canada, who also works from the atrium, and I think she's there right now as well. She'll explain more about the support we provide for students on a day-to-day basis.
Hi, as Susan said, I'm one of the administrators in the PIP team and give country advice to our outbound students. I'm in one of the pods today, as you can see. There are various ways that we're using the atrium now and going forward. Someone mentioned global guidance ambassadors earlier, and these are our returned students who we select and employ to support the team. And they share the information desk with careers. So at all times, Monday to Friday, 10 till 4, we have at least one GGA on the desk there. And they not only do they support the team administratively, but they also provide a student voice and guidance for students who come in with queries. So both face-to-face on the desk, but also by email. You know, it's very important for our students to have that kind of support and advice from students who've already experienced studying abroad. So as an administrator, we are also country advisors to students who are going on exchange from Manchester or on placement overseas. So we are based in pods 5 and 6 here. There is always Monday to Friday, at least one country advisor here. So as well as supervising the global guidance ambassadors on the desk, we also provide one-to-one guidance for students and have one-to-one meetings in the pod. So students who need help with their applications for their placements, who need to come in for documentation, visa documentation, transcripts, etc., and also pastoral support. As well as having the pods and presence at the desk, there is also a Go Abroad library, which you can see there on the slide with one of our GGAs, where students who are interested in a placement can find lots of reference material, so information on all our different partner universities, but also general information on different countries that we send students to, and general financial housing information as well. As well as being able to meet outbound students while we're here in the atrium. It also gives us a space to meet any inbound exchange students who are here from partner universities to give them support that they need. And then we also have a calendar of events throughout the year as well. So these are currently run in a hybrid way. So some of them are virtual and some of them are face-to-face, after having done everything face-to-face for the last for the last 2 years. So these kind of events include pre-departure briefings, country briefings, support with application workshops, social events, drop-ins, and including our annual Go Abroad Fair, which is next week downstairs on the ground floor of University Place for students interested in going on a placement next year. And I think I need to hand back to Anna now.
Thanks, Nana. Yeah, thank you everyone for presenting. I'm just going to move on to the final slide if I can get it to work. There we go. So just in summary, really, as you'll have picked up from the previous presentations, we're basically trying to bring students into a space that was created for them, and hopefully then support and improve the student experience as a result of that. We're sharing a single inquiry desk, so the global guidance ambassadors and careers are now on one inquiry desk, which should hopefully then facilitate that cross-fertilisation of knowledge. We recognise that a lot of the things we do are inextricably linked to employability and kind of future opportunities. So hopefully by sitting and just listening to each other, we can therefore improve the kind of first line inquiry support and signposting for our students. We can run joint events in the space to show students that we are just one student experience and that all the things we do are there to support them. It means that we can facilitate kind of complementary activity planning and collaboration. So the more reasons we give to students to visit the atrium, we increase our reach, awareness, and hopefully our usage. And we really just want to see that space come alive. We feel very lucky to have retained it as a space for our use, with all the challenges that space has across campus. So yeah, we're all really excited to be doing this work. Back to Simon.
Thank you very much, Anna, and thank you everybody else for really brilliant presentation. It just gives you a real sense of the range of things that we do in that space, the way that the different teams, I think every division actually was covered in that presentation, if we think about it, how people have come together. And some of the opportunity as well in that space, as Anna said in her summary there, is a really nice environment. It's unfortunate it's a bit tucked away. We would have when it was originally conceived, those of you with long memories will remember we would have preferred to have had that down on the ground floor where the kind of the marketplace is now, but unfortunately that wasn't to be. So this is about making the most of the opportunity that we've got. And I can see in the chat that's already sparked a little bit of interest. Alex Jackson from the Access and Success team, quite right, it's a great idea, Alex, suggesting using that space for some of the MAP events, some Manchester Access Programme events, which Lindsay's going to take you up on. So it's a great shout. And some good feedback there from Craig as well. Thank you, Craig, on your presentation, if you haven't seen it in the chat. So we've got a bit of time left for other questions or reflections or thoughts people might have around that, or any questions or things you want to highlight on any other topic as well. You can either use the chat or put your hand up. And this is the part of the show where we get stunned silence for a few minutes until someone braves it. There we go. So, and Anna's put her email address in the chat if you're interested. And Lindsay's got a hand up. Now, Lindsay, interesting. You've got a different name on screen to on when it comes up on the.
There's a very long story to do with P&OD. I have two different surnames, and P&OD.
We'll just go with Lindsay. We all know you, Lindsay, anyway. So go on.
as long as people know I haven't, Lindsay Gilbert hasn't left the building. Yeah. So this is actually not to do with the atrium, but it's a shout out that it's the Volunteer and Social Justice Fair back next year. Back last year, obviously we were face to face. But in a slightly more subdued format in the Whitworth Hall. We are back bigger and better than ever, back in Academy 1 next week. So please, if you are working with students, please encourage them to come up to the Volunteering and Social Justice Fair running next. I'm looking at Debbie. Tell me if I've got it wrong, Debbie. Tuesday, 10 till 3.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you. Siobhan says in the chat, has the Student Union been involved in this? They were in the original kind of concept of the atrium, but probably less so recently, I think would be the honest answer. If Siobhan, unless anyone wants to correct me on that. But certainly some of the aspects that have been covered in here have had student union input, but less so the overall concept. Spencer's going to come in.
Yeah, just to say on that, so Campus Life are doing a presentation to the student union on Friday, and part of that will be talking about what goes on in the atrium. In general, we have been working really closely with the student union this year across all sorts of projects. I think it's fair to say, been a really energetic executive. So there is communication going on with them, and that will be ongoing.
Marvellous. Siobhan, I should say, is fairly new to the director, having joined us from BMH. She's supporting in particular degree apprenticeships and sort of variety of other things as well. And was thrown in at the deep end recently when Ofsted decided to come and pay them a visit, but I'm not sure the outcome of that is publicly known yet, so I better not share it or Siobhan will be after me. So welcome, Siobhan. Emma, I beg your pardon, in the chats, just asking Anna, it'd be good to share some details of the space, what it can be used for and so on. I mean, obviously anyone's welcome to kind of have a look around. There is a little bit of flexibility. Some of the furniture can be moved around at certain points, particularly on one half of it. Do you want to comment, Anna?
Yeah, we're just preparing some kind of user guidance and reference materials for anyone that's interested in booking an event or using that space. So I'm just kind of putting the finishing touches to those, Emma, but I can certainly share those with you. And if anyone else, if you just want to email me as previous, then I can share that with you for your reference as well.
Brilliant, thank you. And Siobhan confirming in the chat, she's still alive post Ofsted as well. This was only I say only, this was a sort of an initial Ofsted visit. This isn't the full-on kind of thing where you get an outstanding or very good or whatever it is, but even still quite a significant amount of work, particularly when Siobhan had only just joined us. And Debbie, thank you. Debbie's put the link to the Volunteering Social Justice Fair in the chat as well. And don't forget the Go Abroad Fair, as was trailed next week as well. That's next Tuesday. Okay, other things, questions, comments? No. No, we've run out of steam by the sound of things. Okay, well, listen, thank you again. Many thanks to the presenters. Really interesting session. Oh, sorry, Abigail, before we wrap up.
No, sorry, I'm at home and the Wi-Fi is a bit rubbish. Just a question about, so I'm quite new to the organisation and we've been working quite a lot with, so I work in the student partnership team, so lots of recruiting students for kind of casual posts. And I'd kind of heard rumblings from like email trails about potentially that process being reviewed, because I think quite a few of us probably across the various areas use
sort of student staff in various ways, and it's not the easiest process. And I wondered if there's kind of any work that's going into kind of reviewing the way that we kind of recruit students and work with them.
There is indeed, Abby, and actually, thank you for the question. I was going to mention this in my update this Friday. So you're quite right. There have been some rumblings around this. There's two kind of main issues. So one is our people and OD colleagues would put their hands up and say, and they've acknowledged this. This isn't me sort of speaking out of school, that they are not where they would like to be in terms of the speed with which they turn some of these things around and get payments made and so on. We've had some particular issues with some particular students. There were student experience interns actually who weren't paid in anything like a timely way, and that had some consequence for them. However, that said, for balance, we as a directorate don't always also get our house in order. So Paula Arneson's chasing through a case for me today from a student who wrote to me last night where they hadn't been paid for a couple of months, and actually we haven't quite done the paperwork right in the right area, and it's got delayed going to people in OD, and the whole thing becomes a bit of a knock-on. So it is something people in OD in particular are looking at. They are doing a process review of this at the moment. I think the thing that my advice would be, if you think if you get a sense from a student that there's some form of delay, flag it as early as you possibly can, would be my advice in the meantime, which is an imperfect answer, but it's better than sort of waiting and hoping. Okay, thank you. Lots of other plugs for things going on in the chat. Just because some people are watching this back, so can't read the chat. Go Abroad Fair link is there. Shameless plug for the Autumn Careers Fair happening in Whitworth Hall today and tomorrow. Thank you, Anna. Between 11 and 4. There you go. So there's a campus tour in the makings here this afternoon, ladies and gents. We've got the Careers Fair. You can pop across to the atrium afterwards, go and have a walk in the sunshine. Can the atrium be booked on weekends and evenings? With notice, Emma, is the answer to that, but estates tend to levy a charge for doing so because the building's not usually open at those times, but in theory, yes, it can. Any more for any more? No. Right, we will wrap up at that point. Thank you again to our fantastic contributors for today. Really interesting presentation. Do go and look at the space once you've popped along to the Careers Fair in the Whitworth Hall. Thank you everybody else for joining us. As always, I say this every month, I'll say it again. If you've got a particular topic you'd like to see us covered next time around, do drop Mira Hall a line and we'll see what we can do for you. But in the meantime, thank you very much. Hope the rest of your Tuesday goes very well, and we will see you all together again next month. Okay, bye-bye.